Okay, so what we are going to do is an MYD certificate presentation to you. Obviously, you've got your brown envelopes in your hands. You've been incredibly responsible and haven't yet opened them, which is fine. The idea is that you would open them when you arrived and you would see your certificate inside, but that's fine. We'll leave it till the end. It's no problem at all. Obviously, just bear in mind that we are streaming this live to your parents. Okay, appreciate that we've put this together for you, but obviously because parents we would like to invite to view it, then we are also streaming this. Appreciate that they might be busy and can't take any time out of their busy schedules. Obviously, this is a very big day for us as a school, but for you also as students, because it actually marks a moment in West Island school history when for the first time you as a year group have gone through your MYD curriculum. And this was obviously an idea that many of you may remember was implemented and come to by Mr. Tuff, and he obviously had the idea that as students move through West Island School that they would, or you would, have this holistic education which would encapsulate your learning journey through different programs of your development, your interests, your passions, and a path setting you up to be truly global citizens, as we have as our own motto. So what we're going to do today is just take a moment to pause in what has been a very busy start to the year. You can keep watching your faces scrolling along behind me. I'm not put off by that nobody's looking at me, you're all looking behind at the screen. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to introduce Mr. Salmons in a moment, who is going to address you as principal. I'll then talk to you about your pre-16 journey so that we have a moment just to reflect on that, and also some of the personal experiences that some students had who I asked to share with you today. And then at the end, Miss Kitson will also talk to you a little bit about your looking forward to the future, and Georgia will do a little musical item for you. So if I can invite Mr. Salmons to come to the stage.
Congratulations on your success. Congratulations. Everybody in this room has passed the diploma. Some of you have passed it with merit, some with distinction, and some of you with higher level distinction. So what? So what? This certificate is not recognised by the rest of the world. It is not endorsed by an examination board. It is not given to you by somebody who has been licensed by a federal government or a country. This certificate is given to you by the leaders and the teachers of West Island School. The vast majority of you can perform very, very well in IGCSE examinations. Not just very well, but superbly. As teachers, we know we can teach you theory. We can model to you how to write well in your examinations. We can prepare you well. Look at what you achieved last year in your examinations. Phenomenal achievement across the board, and you are to be commended individually and collectively. But you know, IGCSEs don't test everything. They test a standard form of knowledge that we can share with you. And if you look back in history, where the GCSE examinations came from, they actually came from the Victorians. What the Victorians thought were important for the world to know. And then over the last 50 or so years, they've become globalised and had an international element put into them to think what international students should know. But you know what? They're still really limited because they don't teach you everything that you need for the rest of your lives. So the middle years diploma, to some extent, is about redressing that. And you can do one or two things with your middle years diploma certificate. when you fill out your application forms, and there's a section on there, and it says, list your IGCSEs, list your IB diplomas, you could choose not to write about it. You could choose to put that diploma right to the back of your certificates. But I would encourage you not to. What I'd encourage you to do is when you see that section on the application forms, when you write for the future employment opportunities, that you list it first. And I would encourage you to put that certificate to the top of the pile, because it will promote a conversation. And that conversation will be, for the people that don't know about it, well, what's this about? What does it tell me about you as a person? And it's recognising your completion of the Year 9 project, that bringing together of how you've really led your own inquiry into a piece of learning. It's telling somebody that you are aware of the global things that matter and what you can do about it. It's telling people about your engagement in being a creative thinker. Look at the world's most successful company. It's led by designers. Apple. It's led by creative thinkers. People who can construct their world and visualize it and package it back up for us so we can access it more and more in our daily lives. It's telling people about your commitment to service. Those projects that you took part in Horizons Week. It's telling people about your horizons, that you don't just have a narrow view of an IGCSE subject and what the teachers and the specification writers thought you should know. It's telling people that you understand there's a world out there full of people that we're connected to, but most of all, it's telling people that all of you in this room know how to influence and change it. It's telling people that you are self-aware and that you can self-manage. And that's why this certificate, whilst it might not be endorsed by the federal governments or the exam boards, it is endorsed by us as leaders and teachers in this school who are telling you about the things that are going to sustain you for the rest of your lives. And that's important now, isn't it? Because 6-7 weeks into your diploma programs, your BTEC subjects, your IB subjects, you should just be having an awakening now. And you should just be starting to think that these subjects feel very, very different to your IGCSEs. And what I know as I get older and as I work with teams of people in schools and I work with young people is actually I know less. I know less today than I did 30 years ago. And that's because actually I've come to realise it's not what I know that matters, it's how I judge the knowledge. It's about how I use my experience. It's about how I use my understanding of all of the curriculum areas to think something through for myself. Sounds really easy, doesn't it? Judgment. How do you judge something? How do you evaluate something? Sounds really, really easy, but boy is it hard. And that's the point that you should just be getting to now, thinking back over the last 6 or 7 weeks. Your teachers cannot give you what you need to know for your IB subjects. They simply can't. You need to do more of that for yourselves. You need to be up into the library. You need to be looking at the journals. You need to be accepting the new knowledge and ways of understanding. And then you should be standing back from it and saying to yourself, well, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to construct an argument to show people what I can do with knowledge? And that's what the IB program's all about. But it's hard. It's hard because you've got to be a master of your subject. Nobody is going to listen to you if you just stand up and say, well, I think this. Because they'll say to you, but why? Why do you think that? Where has your understanding come from to get to that point in time? Which bit of knowledge can you draw on to justify and explain to me why you think that? And that's hard. That takes time. It takes the skill of managing your time, because you've got to look across all your programs of study. And then it takes the skill of reflection, your ability to step back from it and say to yourself, what do I think for myself? And that's quite hard for us as teachers to get you to do. Because as teachers, what we know is we've got to serve you the knowledge. We've got to show you where to find the knowledge. And sometimes in our teaching programs, we can not building enough time to say, okay, there's the knowledge, now let's step to one side and think about what it all looks like. Let's think about how you're going to become a really evaluative thinker, and that your opinion matters as much as all those other academics out there in the world, because it does. That's the bad news, the work that you've got to put into it to become a master of your subjects. The very good news is it doesn't get any harder. My degree, my post-18 study, didn't get any harder than that. Got more interesting because I learned how to evaluate, and I learned how to argue and how to use the knowledge. But at the moment, you're on that trajectory. You're on that steep climb up to learn what to do in your subject, to become a real master. And so I commend all of you who have passed the diploma, because you're ready for it. That diploma is saying you are now ready for the next stage of learning. You've got the skills, you've demonstrated that you can acquire knowledge, and you are ready to really start thinking about what you're going to do with it, becoming a master of your subjects. I believe you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want. Whatever label society gives you, whatever bit of data somebody gives you, you can perform better. You can do whatever you set your mind to. I proved it to myself. I've had it proved to me by my colleagues. But more importantly, I have it proved to me year after year by the young people who I teach. And you're no different. You can achieve whatever you set your mind to. And the important thing in all of that is this. What is it you've set your mind to? So at this point in time, say well done to yourself for being successful in the diploma, for being successful in the IB programme so far, and now start just reflecting as we move into this midterm break. Am I now really clear about the goal I'm going to set myself? Am I really clear about what I'm going to set my mind to? I commend you, and I really look forward to standing here at the end of your year 13 and celebrating as much success as is in the room now. Well done.
Now, I stood in front of you when it was your graduation ceremony back in April, and that probably seems like a lifetime ago. You've now come back, you're an academic year older, you're an academic year wiser, but you've probably enjoyed a pretty long summer holiday, and you're ready to meet that challenge that Mr. Salmons talked about and move into your IB education. But what I want to do is just wind the clock back a little bit, back to year 7, possibly even earlier than that, when you were starting to develop your first friendships, when you were starting to think about bonds that were going to last the lifetime. And you entered West Island School as pretty nervous, pretty unsure, a large, possibly unfamiliar building, and starting your secondary education. Now, you may smile about it now, but to think you were never worried about joining West Island School might seem something that you would have worried about at the time, and you'll be confident now. But think back, just remember how that felt. As you began to join our Year 7 community at West Island, you settled into life as a first MYD cohort at an exciting time in the school's ongoing development and history. As part of this, you were able to enjoy different elements of learning, both in and outside the classroom. You completed your personal project with thought-provoking questions and a detailed investigation. Now, I had a look at some of the examples of some Year 9 personal projects that you came up with, and the questions that you asked. The first one is quite topical, based on Sam Allardyce and his recent involvement in a sting operation in the news, if you've been reading the UK news. So, have the allegations of corruption against top officials of FIFA impacted the popularity of football? Another question, how has teaching developed over the past years? Will artificial intelligence be achieved and beneficial for our future? And my absolute favourite, what makes us have dreams? These are incredible questions that you were asking yourselves as young Year 9 students. And I can't speak for my colleagues, but if I'm honest with myself, I would have really struggled to come up with that kind of question and investigated it to the depth that you demonstrated during your exhibition of work. You undertook global perspectives in Year 10 with a group and also with individual research questions again. Learning for Life introduced you to personal development, whilst all the time enjoying activities outside the classroom in sports team as part of your CAS requirement. Some of you enjoyed the electives courses, and again, you were the first cohort who was exposed to these, picking up skills in first aid, entrepreneurship, sports leadership, and public speaking. The careers department introduced you to the rigour of an interview process, and I remember how seriously you took this opportunity. I saw many of you dressed for the occasion and enjoyed hearing from the interview panel how mature and confident many of you were in answering the questions that were asked of you. Now, you may be sitting in front of me now thinking, yeah, I took it all in my stride. I got the results, we move on, it's history, old news, I've been there, I've done it, I've got the T-shirt. But I urge you now to think about how this has impacted your learning, how you approach difficult situations. We always talk about hindsight is a wonderful thing, and you can now benefit from this. And you can consider those moments when you didn't quite get something right, when things didn't quite go your way, when revision and exam preparation seemed a never-ending road. And now, armed with those skills, those experiences, that information, maybe that learning strategy, you can continue on your West Island School journey with even greater success. I wish you many congratulations on your MYD award. It was a pleasure to support you in the pre-16 phase, and I wish you every success, and I'll certainly follow your ongoing learning and achievements as you continue to grow and progress through West Island School. Thank you. Now, I think Mr. Salmon's taken my running order, but from memory, Nadia was going to come up and share with you some of her own feelings about her learning journey at West Island School. So if I could invite Nadia to come to the stage, please.
It's okay. Thank you. So hi, I'm Nadia, and I've been asked by Mr. Houston to talk to you about study skills. I did better in my GCSEs than I thought I would, and it felt really good at the end to receive my results. So this is what I did that helped me throughout the study break. Bear in mind, this is what worked for me. It may not work exactly for you, but all of this is flexible, and it's important to find out what works for you best. So one of the things that helped me a lot was to set specific targets. I personally set a target every week. This worked for me because I had a clear overview of what I was going to do and focus over the week and what I had not done. But this is totally adjustable because I do admit I am a bit of an organization freak myself. So some of you may prefer setting a daily timetable or listing out the tasks you have to do throughout the day. Depends on your preference, but to be honest, the process really doesn't matter as long as you get the stuff done in the end. Another thing that helped me a lot was allowing myself some downtime. Made sure that I had time to take a break from my studies every so often. When I think back, I think I should have given myself more downtime now because I spent a lot of time actually worrying and stressing about the exam itself. So at the end, I think it all came down to finding the right balance. So what I learned from this is to not be too stressed, but at the same time not too laid back. The point I'm trying to make today is not what you should have done in your GCSEs. It's how you can use these learning strategies and apply them to your studies right now. I think the main difference between the GCSE and the IB is, for GCSE it was quite a lot of memorization, but for the IB, it's not only more work, it's more application and more questioning. So I think it's very important to not only stay consistent with your work, but also practice and make sure you fully understand the concepts before moving on to the next topic. Remember, what you put in is what you get out in the end, so good luck and thank you to you all.
Thank you, Nadia. I'd now like to invite Georgia to the stage for a musical interlude. Georgia's going to celebrate Year 12 creativity by singing The Lady is a Tramp.
Do. Okay. She gets too hungry for dinner at 8. She loves theater, but she never arrived late. She'd never bother with the people she'd hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. She'll have no crap games with barons and earls. Won't go to Harlem in ermines and pearls. She won't dish the dirt of those girls. That's why the lady is a tramp. She loves the free, fresh wind in her hair, life without care. She's broke, but it's okay. Hates California. It's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. She gets too hungry for dinner at 8. She adores the theater, but she'd never arrive late. She'd never bother with the people she hates. That's why the lady is a tramp. Won't go to Harlem in Lincolns or Fords. She won't dish the dirt with the rest of the broads. She'd never bother with the people she hates. That's why the lady, she has the free, fresh wind in her hair, life without care. She's broke, but it's okay. It's California. It's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so what we are going to do now is I am just going to ask Annika and Justin to come to the stage in a moment just to share some of their experiences of Year 11 and also, again, looking forward. Now, what you might not realise about Annika and Justin, Annika is on an IB route and Justin is on an ID route. But when their results came out, one of the things that we look at as a school in terms of data is how much further we have taken you from what we believe you are capable of. And for the vast majority of you, you have exceeded what your predictions were and what your mid-year test that you did back in Year 7 and Year 9 told us that you would achieve. And Justin and Annika are in fact two of the students in the year group who exceeded by the most amount their expectations and their predictions and their final outcomes at GCSE. So if I can invite Annika and Justin to come to the stage. Hang on. There is yours.
Okay, thanks. Okay, hi, so I'm Annika, and personally the most difficult thing about GCSEs was the amount of content we were required to know for 13 exams, and even more for some of you. And just like everyone else, I wanted to achieve at least what was expected of me for my predicted grades. However, before the mock exams, I didn't really revise that much. Like for most subjects, I revised a day before the exams, and for some subjects, I didn't even revise at all. And as you can imagine, I wasn't particularly pleased with my results, but I also wasn't completely shocked. I knew it's what I deserved, and it reflected on how much effort I put in, which wasn't much. And to recover from that, I knew I needed to work harder, and for me that meant to just try. So I got organized, rewrote my notes so that they were concise but answered the syllabus statements, and printed as many past papers as I could realistically do in the amount of time I had left before the actual exams. So on my first try at doing a paper on my own, I had to keep looking back at my notes, which was convenient since I already rewritten them. And the more past papers I did, the less I had to look back at my notes, and the more confident I got. And I believe that's one of the most significant things that helped me get from an E to an A. It's that you need to have confidence. And it's important to have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. And by that I mean, just because you got a D in a class test, it doesn't mean that you will get a D in the actual exam if you just try and put the effort in. And one of the things that inspired me to have a growth mindset is having unexpected pep talks with Zara. And I often used to tell her that, whatever, I'm just going to fail, I'm not even going to try. And she would tell me, no, you won't. If you just try and work hard, you'll make it. You have the potential. And I feel that that applies to everyone. We all have potential, and if we just work hard, you can achieve that A star or that C, depending on what your goal is. So to conclude, I think that we all should just try. And you don't have to aim for A's and A stars, just aim for more than what you're predicted, and we can all do it. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Justin. So GCSE has been a good platform in preparing for the IB and ID courses. Of course, GCSE is much less in-depth than both courses, but it gives a good idea of what to expect in upper school. The core skills of time and stress management, as well as organization, are definitely transferable to these courses and will be highly beneficial. GCSE helped me improve my time management and organization skills because it forced me to manage my time wisely, especially after the mocks when I realized that I didn't have much time left to revise. It also helped me improve my stress management because revising all the time would make me so stressed and scared, and I would forget what I had revised. So I would spend at least half an hour doing something I enjoy to relax myself. These three skills are very important during IB and ID. For example, for IB students, if you don't start revising now and leaving it all to year 13, you'll be very stressed because of because the time from now of year 13 to the actual exams is very short. And you have so many topics to revise, especially for the subjects at a higher level. But for ID students, if you do your coursework at the last minute, you'll not be able to do your best, perform your best, because you have to rush the work. And this will cause many careless mistakes, and you'll be unable to achieve the grade that you want. So I've been asked from my friends and teachers why I've changed from IB to ID. So at first, I wasn't actually happy about this change because I thought ID was not a recognized diploma program. But it is actually really widely recognized and I think that change was worth it because I already have an idea about my future career and music performance. Changing to ID has allowed me to spend more time on my instruments. This is very important to me because most performing arts schools require an audition to be accepted. Spending more time practicing my instrument will increase my confidence because I will be more prepared, therefore having higher chances to getting into performing arts schools. Wish you guys best of luck in your IB and ID exams. Thank you.
Okay. So when I started thinking about what I wanted to say to you today as Director of Learning for Post-16, what immediately came to mind, as it so often does with English teachers, was a poem. What I really liked about the one that I chose is the way that it's structured around the idea of a journey, like the one you're on as you move from pre-16 to post-16 and then onwards from West Island. I also really like it because it rhymes. Okay, here's the first bit. Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. Congratulations! Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. Today is a celebration of everything you've achieved during your pre-16 journey, but it's also about looking forward to everything you have ahead of you over the next 2 years, everything you will achieve during your post-16 journey, because it's really just one journey. The approaches to learning you've developed through your IGCSE courses are the basis for post-16 success. Managing deadlines and coursework, responding to teacher feedback, self-reflection, completing effective revision and managing exam pressure continue to be the cornerstones of the IB, ID and foundation courses. But you'll also need to refine and develop these skills, prepare for increasing autonomy and independence in your studies, keep on top of a challenging workload, and plan how you're going to achieve the targets you set for your own future, whatever you want that to be. In the MYD core, you have the best possible foundation for what lies ahead. The skills developed in your personal project, critical thinking, and global perspectives are going to be so important when you begin work on the IB core elements, the EE and TOK, or the extended project qualification. TOK and the EPQ ask you to synthesize what you've learned in all your subject lessons, think conceptually and holistically, and apply everything you've learned to exploring a totally new scenario. Both the EPQ and the EE ask you to take a subject you love and run with it. Identify your own topic, undertake your own research and reading, plan and complete a final product demonstrating how you've developed your own knowledge. These are big challenges, so learn from everything you've already done and keep moving forward to success. Post-16 is also a time to continue developing your passions through your CAS program. The commitments you began in pre-16 need to form the basis of new leadership opportunities, where you challenge yourself to do things you'd never thought possible, put on a fashion show, debate on the world stage, offer a helping hand to someone in terrible need, compete in a national sports team. These are all things that West Island School students just like you have done before. You're also role models now, supporting our younger students along their first stages of their CAS journey and guaranteeing your own future well-being by keeping active, engaging creatively with the world, and helping others. So, with all that in mind, back to Dr. Seuss. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. But on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. Onward up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. On and on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far, and face up to your problems, whatever they are. Post-16 is not always easy. It's a glorious time of learning and broadening your horizons and preparing for your bright futures, but things can and do go wrong. But when they do, remember that you have the skills to draw on to keep yourselves moving forward. Everything you've learned in L4L over your pre-16 years has been to prepare you for life, for learning, for engaging with people and challenging situations well. Everything you've learned about perseverance, resilience, and yes, grit, has been preparing you for the setbacks and the challenges and the fact of life that sometimes you're going to have to walk away and come up with a new plan. But remember, you're not alone. Your pre-16 tutors and heads of year have been your greatest allies and advocates, and your post-16 tutors and head of year are already continuing that support, talking you through subject changes and chances charts and managing CAS programs. They'll continue to be there through deadlines that come quick and fast and sometimes all at once, through coursework, internal assessments and exam preparation, through university applications, through heartache, frustration and stress. They have your back as long as you remember to let them. Don't try and go it alone, and don't suffer in silence. If something's bothering you, bring it to your tutor, bring it to your head of year, bring it to me before it becomes overwhelming. We'll help you gain some perspective, offer you strategies for success, and if needs be, step in to help. Post-16 will not be a breeze, but nothing is insurmountable if you use the skills, resources, and people you already have to help you bounce back. So to finish, I'll return to my rhymes. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kids, you'll move mountains. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. Thank you. Okay, so I'd just like to thank all of our speakers today, Mr. Houston, Mr. Salmons, Nadia, Annika, and Justin for doing a great job, as well as to Georgia for singing and for your tutor and to your tutors for attending today. And thank you all for listening so carefully, and I hope leaving buoyed up for the final week and a half before half term. I'm going to dismiss you back to tutor rooms now by dynasty. So if I can get a hand to grab all your things, head back to your tutor rooms, please. And the rest of you can just hold fire.